Hey Shahar, welcome back to my channel. So I'm gonna be talking about I know I haven't been filming in a while on this channel, but uh that's because the videos that I do have planned I need to I mean videos I want to film I need to really plan out, and I've just been too lazy to do that. But I plan to soon. But this one I don't really need to plan out that much because I did some similar video on my TV channel. This is about a TV character, and I just um plus I'm currently rewatching it, so the thing is fresh in my mind. So I'm just going with the flow. But I'm gonna be talking about Jodie Dallas from the TV show Soap. It is from the 70s, so most of you have probably never heard about it. But he is he was the first canon gay character on TV. You can't even look up who was the first canon gay character on TV. Like I thought he when I wanted to know a while ago, I decided to look that up because I thought it was Jodie, but I wasn't like 100% sure, and I was right because Jodie's name came up. It said Jodie Dallas from Soap, and I'm like, I knew it. But yeah, there's no actual gay kiss or anything because it was still the 70s. I mean, um, Tara and Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer didn't have their first on-screen kiss until the middle of season 5, the one right after Joyce died when they were like all getting ready for her funeral and all that. Um, and then Tara calms Willow down by kissing her forehead and her lips, and it was their first on-screen kiss, even though they've been together since the middle of season 4. And that was late 90s, early 2000s. Well, the first season started in 97, so season 5, yeah, it would have been the early 2000s by that point. And that was the first time they let them kiss on screen, even though they were girlfriends. It was even admitted in season 4 that they were girlfriends. It took a while for them to finally say they were girlfriends, but they said it. So yeah. Um, but that aside, um, the thing about when watching soap, you have to remember that it was the 70s. So when it came to like Jodie and his gay character arc, it it I wouldn't exactly call it good representation. It was good representation for the time, considering it was the first real representation of the time. But there's a lot of things while I'm currently rewatching that just does not age well. And there are several times where they'll make a joke directed at him for being gay. And I mean, so it's not exactly great representation, but I feel like it was important at the time because if it wasn't for Jodie, Jodie's what got a bunch of other representations started from Soap. I mean, Soap started it all for gay representation. So I feel like it deserves a lot of merit for starting gay representation. I mean, we all know that the original gay representations or representations, period, for whatever trans, all of it is just not good. Like asexual representation is rather new, and I haven't really found many that's actually good representation because whenever representation starts, for whatever it is for, it always starts off actually kind of bad. But I representation has to start somewhere, right? Um, but Jodie. So the what Soap is about? It's 4 seasons. Seasons 3 and 4 suck. Like seriously, if you do not want to watch seasons 3 and 4, I do not blame you. Like just watch seasons 1 and 2. I don't think you'll miss much because seasons 3 and 4 suck. Characters start to leave, including the funniest character in the show. The storylines start to suck. The It's just not as funny. It's like they just run out of jokes. Season 1 and 2, golden. They have me cracking up all the time, even though I've already seen it probably a good 100 times. Um, but basically, it's about these two sisters, Jessica and Mary. Jessica is rich with her husband Chester and her 3 kids, Urine, U, uh, okay, Eunice, Corinne, and Billy. And then Mary is married to her second husband with her two kids from her previous marriage, um, Danny and Jodie, and then Bert, her husband, has two kids from his previous marriage, Peter and Chuck, and then Jessica and Chester being rich also have a butler, Benson. He's the funniest character I mentioned. He's just hilarious. He actually got his own spin-off. I never saw all of it. I think I've only seen the first two seasons, but that one lasted a lot longer. I think it lasted like 7 years. And it's just called Benson. But yeah, and that's why he left. But the show went really downhill after he left. But it wasn't just him. Like these storylines and stuff just sucked. Like when Corinne and Tim broke up, and then Corinne cheating with her sister's boyfriend, and it's just these storylines basically just suck. There's so many things that happened that I hated. But yeah, um, so uh, Jodie, who is Mary's second son, yeah, second son, because Danny's older, um, is gay, and they, especially in the beginning, I feel like after a while they stop doing it as much. Maybe I'm wrong, because like I said, I only saw season 3 and 4 once. There's a lot I do not remember. I only remember the last episode of season 4 just because they left it off and like three cliffhangers, and it looked like there was gonna be like three major characters killed with the cliffhangers, but they were never brought back for fifth season, so you don't know if they actually died. But Joey is called a fruit a lot, and there are a lot of jokes at his expense sometimes, but at other times there were also really meaningful moments about his sexuality as well. Um, I know Danny was for to understand this, Danny was on the run because he left the mob who he was working for. And they were gonna let him go if he killed the man who killed his father. Turned out to be his stepfather, but his stepfather only killed him out of self-defense because his father tried to kill him first. It's a long story. You have to watch it. But so he was going to go on the run because he couldn't do it because him and Bert had just become, good towards each other because they had hated each other at the start, and they're now getting along, and he heard the full story, so he understands why Bert did it. Um, and he also couldn't kill a person. Like he actually tried to kill Bert in hilarious attempts, by the way. But yeah, uh, but Jodie, and every time something about Jodie's sexuality was mentioned, Danny would always be laughing like, "Oh, that's my brother jokester," because he never wanted to admit that his brother was actually gay. And Jodie actually goes off on Danny. One of the few times you actually see Jodie go off on anybody, let alone his brother, who he looks up to. Um, and uh, he they have this like really heart to heart because Jodie kept trying to get Danny to see that he's not joking, that this is serious, that he's gay, and he's dating someone. He You actually meet his boyfriend, but his boyfriend was in the closet because he's a professional sports player, and he was terrified of it coming out that he's gay and what it could do to his career. Like I said, this is the 70s. It's not just based in the 70s, it was made in the 70s. So yeah. Um, but so they just, and then I like one line Jodie says. He says, if you don't love me now that you know I'm gay, then you never really loved me at all. And when he was about to leave, Danny stopped him and he was like, I never wanted to hear it because I was afraid I would look at you different. And then Jodie was like, well, do you? And then Danny looks at him and he's like, no. And they hug, and it was a sweet moment. It was one of the few times the show actually does like have these heartfelt moments about Jodie's sexuality. Like there was this whole storyline at the very beginning where Mary walks there's a scene where Mary walks in, and Jodie's wearing her dress and a wig, and he he tells her how he wants to do a sex change operation, and it makes it look like he could be trans, but he's not. He's gay, um because you find out he was only doing it because um of his boyfriend I told you about because so that way they could be together and it won't hurt his Dennis's career and all that. I'm not so sure how I feel about the storyline just because I don't know. Like I said, not everything dealing with Jodie was always good. I mean, Bert was pretty. What's the wording? I my mind just went completely blank. He, well, I guess you can kind of say he's was homophobic. I mean, he had issues with both Danny and Jodie, but with Danny, it's not even like it was mostly because Danny hated Bert. It had nothing to do with Bert hating Danny. Um, but Bert didn't like Jodie. He couldn't even really look at him because of his sexuality, and it made him very uncomfortable, which I know still happens to some guys today. But it was probably more like when a lawyer was talking to everybody. Long story there was a murder and someone is a suspect, and they were trying to see who can testify and all that. And when Jody said that he was a homosexual, because the old lawyer's hand was over him, he was like, "Come on, son, tell me." And he's like, "I'm a homosexual." He just kind of takes his arm away. It's like uncomfortable, but it was the 70s. A lot of these storylines, you have to remember that it was the 70s, so of course the representation isn't gonna be that good. But I feel like it's Jodie's character was still so important, yet so forgotten about because he was the first canon gay character in TV history. He made history by just being, and I feel like you can forget a lot of those stuff just because you have to remember that it was the 70s, and also because if it wasn't for Jodie, so many other gay characters never would have been on TV, and Jodie kind of paved the way for every gay character on TV, and he needs more recognition because of that fact. Um, I do love Jodie's character. There was one storyline I was fond of. During the whole trial storyline I was just mentioning because someone is a suspect for a murder, and Jodie meets someone who I don't remember what her position was, but she was like part of the people that were like not like she wasn't a lawyer, so I'm not entirely sure what her position was. But she was talking to Jodie, and she immediately had a crush on Jodie, and Jodie becomes friends with her, but she kept there was another girl a little bit earlier when Jodie was in the hospital with going to do the sex change operation, but then Dennis ends up telling him that he is going to marry a woman to so that the world, so that his career is safe and stuff. So they break up, and um, he ends up not doing the sex change operation, but he he meets this nurse, and she was sure that she could fix him like people still do today. It's not nearly as common, thankfully. But she asked him if he had ever, been with a woman, and he was like, no. And she was like, see, so you don't know, you never tried it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate when people do that. But I was like, but it is the 70s, so I have to keep that in mind with a lot of the jokes and storylines that happens because it was the 70s. But anyways, back to Carol, who I despise. She's probably one of my least favorite characters in the series, not including Corinne's biological mother. I can't remember her name now. I was just literally watching after she got introduced, and I don't remember her name now. Ingrid. Ingrid is I knew it was a Swedish name, but I forgot her name. So it's Ingrid. So Ingrid and Carol are probably my least favorite characters. But the difference is, actually, I think I might hate Carol worse. Surprisingly enough, because Ingrid doesn't pretend to be a nice person. Like she tells everyone what her mission is, which is to destroy the Taysom Campbells. She like tells the world just how awful she is. But the worst kind of people are the people that pretend to be nice but are secretly manipulative, which is what Carol is. So I think I hate her worse. I just despised her. Like she constantly tried to convince Jodie to be with her, even though Jodie told her that he's gay. He doesn't like her that way, though he does care about her. And they decided to go away as friends. But Carol had ulterior motives, and basically she kept trying to make moves on him. And then she was crying and made him feel bad. And next thing they knew, they slept together. He hated it because he's gay, and then she got all upset that he hated it. And next thing you know, she's pregnant, and then she turns around and leaves him. And then when he goes, finds where her mom lives so that he could, meet the baby or whatever. Um, you find out that she left the baby with her mom and just ran off with some biker. Like she went through all of that to get Jodie to be with her, only to do all that. I hate her so much. But anyways, back to Jodie. So he did become a dad, which I did like, though I didn't like how it became that way. He was a good dad, but yeah, and you do meet the lesbian in season 3. I don't really remember much about that storyline. He becomes friends with a lesbian, Alice. That's all I remember. Like I don't remember much that has to do with that storyline. Like I said, I do not remember much that happens in season 3 and 4. Like I said, season 4, the only thing I remember is the last 5 minutes of the episode with the 3 cliffhangers. And then season 3, I remember more than I do season 4. Like I remember Tim leaving and the whole Corinne dating Eunice's boyfriend, and then I remember the Colt storyline with Billy. I remember Benson leaving. Like I said, I don't remember it that well. Because seasons 3 and 4 suck. But season 3 is still a bit better than season 4. But yeah. Jodie, back to Jodie. he, I do love his character. He's probably one of my favorites. Corinne is my absolute favorite. Benson's pretty high too. I'd say Benson, Corinne, and Jodie are probably my top 3 favorite characters, honestly. I love those 3 characters. They are probably my favorites. Even though they don't handle Jodie's representation great a lot of the time, the fact that they had a gay character says a lot. And like I said, it paved the way for every gay character you'll ever see on your screens. And I feel like he deserves recognition for that fact. Like, because like I said, it's made in the 70s, so you have to understand that it's not going to be good representation. I mean, right now is the first time you're really seeing asexual and aromantic representation. And is there any good ones out there? Hardly. Because for some reason, when representation first gets started, it's bad. It's going to be bad. It's just a fact that I've come to accept. Because I guess they don't understand it at first or whatever. Because a lot of times the creators of these characters aren't actually what the characters are: asexual, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, whatever it is. So I feel like when representation first starts, there's just it's not always that great because maybe the creators don't understand it. I don't know, but Jodie's played by Billy Crystal, who's very famous. So there's that for any Billy Crystal fans. I don't know who's fans of him, but he's pretty uh, famous now. He was on an episode of Friends with I don't remember his name. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Like he's dead now. He killed himself. Who was it? Why can't I remember his name? He's like on Tip My Dog. I feel so ashamed that I can't remember his name. The guy that played on the original Jumanji. I can't believe I can't remember his name. But anyways, um, they were only on for like 5 minutes. Then there was what he played. I don't remember which one. He voiced either Mikey or Sully in Monsters Inc. I cannot tell you which one because I do not remember which one. But yeah, he's pretty famous. Uh, but I just think Jodie should get more recognition for being the first gay character that paved the way for every gay character you'll ever see on your screens. Even if the representation wasn't always that great, he was a great character. he was funny, he cared, and there were some heartfelt moments. Like him and Mary had several heartfelt moments. Um, him and Bert didn't really have heartfelt moments. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Bert is pretty homophobic. Um, there were like many times where he was, even if he would even go out with a female friend, Bert would be like, "Oh yeah, it's a date. Let's get you to get some whatever," and it's just um, Bert's pretty homophobic. Um, but and then a lot of the girl, you know, female friends he gets, like I said, aren't great because they think they can fix him. And they try to fix him because he's apparently to them is very attractive. And I guess they just want to prove that that good they can fix a homosexual. Uh, like I said, a lot of storylines not that great, but the character himself is great. Like I said, he's in my top three. Honestly, I think I'd put him second. It's just barely above Benson and barely under Corinne, because those are my top three characters. And J- Jodie, Jodie's just a great and fun character to watch. So just if you do decide to try it just to see the very first canon gay character in TV, just keep in mind that it is a show made in the 70s and it was the very first representation, so of course it's not going to be good. But um, like I said, there is some heartfelt moments, which I'm trying to think of some other than what I explained with him and Danny. Um, I mean, like I said, him and Mary have a few, which is really nice. I feel like him and Eunice had a heartfelt moment. They actually got pretty close, but um, I didn't have much to do with the sexuality. They didn't like each other, but it had nothing to do with the sexuality. So I was okay with their feud at the beginning because, like I said, you find out it had nothing to do with their sexuality, with his sexuality. They just didn't get along when they were younger. And with Mary, there was the moment in the dress, which wasn't really that heartfelt, but he was trying to get through to her about why he wanted the sex change operation, though it wasn't actually the truth because you find out that it was for Dennis, who ended up leaving him anyways. And then I'm trying to think because I know there are a few more. I feel like the representation does get better despite how bad season 3 and 4 are, ruining a lot of characters and stuff. I feel like the representation gets slightly better because of his, like I said, they added a lesbian character that befriends him. But Joey's just a great character in himself. Just ignore the puns and the jokes made at him. Like he's called a fruit quite often, but I think that was sort of a thing back then. I might be wrong. I wasn't born in the 70s. I wasn't even born in the 80s. Heck, I wasn't even born till the very end of the 90s. So I don't know. But I think that was a thing back then, calling gay people fruit. I think that was a thing. But but yeah, so it's not perfect representation, far from it. It's probably one of the worst representations, honestly. But I just feel like it was also so important because it was the first gay character. The fact that someone was willing to be the first person to add a gay character in their show and to actually not just make them look gay or appear gay, but actually say they were gay is something that was very important and hadn't been done and deserves so much appreciation for that fact alone. And I do love Jodie's character. I don't rewatching this. I don't love a lot of the ways it was handled or a lot of the jokes, but I love his character and I feel like he deserves the recognition of being the first gay character for starting the path to all these other gay characters that are now on. And yeah, so I just wanted to talk about Jodie, my beloved Jodie, and hopefully get some recognition his way because he definitely deserves it. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment if you've ever seen Soap, if you like or dislike Jodie or his character or his representation. And I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video.